Hello, let's see how we can save and share our work easily. The first step is to make sure your project is saved on your hard drive. Let's create a new blank document and get to work. The settings don't matter for the purposes of this lecture. Now I'll drag an image inside it and I'll hit Enter to place it on my canvas. I'll add an adjustment layer from the bottom of my Layers panel. Let's go with black and white. Okay, say I'm happy with my progress. Let's save this project with Ctrl S. Alternatively, you can use File, Save As. I'll be asked to give it a name, but notice the layer type, .psd. That's because we're saving the source file. That's an important distinction. So we're not exporting our work in a format that can be uploaded on Facebook or whatever other platform. When your progress is saved, this is how your project tab is going to look. It's not going to be called Untitled anymore, but pay attention to the close icon. Once you make any change, any edit, no matter how small it is, the asterisk is going to show up near the X symbol. That's a subtle warning that tells you have unsaved progress. If I use Ctrl S, this new state of the project will be saved. But again, if I perform another action, this asterisk will show up. So this is a gentle reminder that says, hey, your work isn't saved. Now let's see how you can share your design with the world. Let's start with the old way of exporting. Alt, Ctrl, Shift, S. This will bring up this window you may be familiar with. Here you have a few settings you want to pay close attention to. First, the file format. You can go with PNG24 for maximum quality or if you need transparency. The other viable option is JPEG, and from here you can adjust its quality setting. You can either choose a preset, very high is what I recommend you use, or you can fiddle around with these settings, though I'd advise against that. Another thing you may want to adjust is the image size. If you have something in mind, feel free to type it in. By default, this chain icon is active, and that means Photoshop will maintain your design's aspect ratio. If you put in another width value, the height will immediately update itself, and that's very helpful. Personally, I like to use the percent field from the right side. Something like 50% is always easy to understand, and you can appreciate your new size that much better. So this is the first way of exporting your work, through Alt, Ctrl, Shift, S. If you want to use it from the menu up top, go to File, Export, Save for Web Legacy. And it's labelled Legacy because it's been replaced by our second way of exporting, Alt, Ctrl, Shift, W. So we've swapped the S with a W at the end. This window is fairly similar. You have your file format at the top, 4 options to choose from, though in general you won't use GIF and SVG. Underneath you have your image size, and that's exactly like it was in the previous window. From the left side, you can export this design in multiple sizes in one go. This is a big improvement. Just hit this small plus icon and you'll see you can export the same file at multiple sizes. Either 0.5 times, 0.75 times, or you can go for 2 or 3 times. Great stuff because it saves you the trouble of repeating this process. Let's move on to number 3, which is one of my favorites. Go to your Layers panel and right-click. Here you'll have Quick Export as PNG. When you click it, you'll be asked for a location, and that's it. This is fantastic because it's very fast and it doesn't ask you 100 questions before you do it. In case you want to export as a JPEG instead of a PNG, here's how you do it. Open your preferences with Ctrl K. Select Export from the list on the left side. From this drop-down, you can change your preferred file type. In my case, that's PNG. You can also export even faster if you check this second option. This way, you'll immediately get your file in the same directory as your project. Okay, good stuff. Let's see the fourth way of exporting your project. Go to your layer and right-click it. From this huge list, select Export As, and this will launch the same window as the hotkey Alt, Ctrl, Shift, W. You may ask, how is this different? Well, that big hotkey allows you to export your entire canvas, while these last 2 methods help you export individual layers or groups. Let me show you what I mean. I'll add a black rectangle to my project. If I use the long hotkey, look at this preview. This is what you'll end up with once you save. On the other hand, if I right-click on this rectangle in my Layers panel to export it, look at what happens. You can see the preview just shows this layer and not the complete canvas. So that's the difference between the two. Finally, the last method, Adobe Generate. Let me open up a new PSD that's in a folder called Example. Here it is, and as you can see, I only have the project inside it. You have this file attached, by the way. Okay, the first step is to activate Adobe Generator. Go to File, Generate, Image Assets. Did you see what happened? Photoshop just created a folder with my project's name and assets at the end. Inside, we can find a file called errors.txt. Let's open it up and see what's what. I know this seems confusing, but let me space it out. All that's happening here is Photoshop is warning us some layers are not properly labeled. That's how Adobe Generator works. It looks for an extension at the end of the layer's name. Here we have a layer called name@mail.com. That .com part is throwing Photoshop off because it thinks that's an extension. What we have to do is rename it to something else. Now the error went away. Let's see Generator in action. I'll rename this group to back.jpg. Let's check our folder. Yep, here it is. You can replace JPEG with PNG, GIF or SVG. You can also adjust the quality of the JPEG file by writing back.jpg 50%. Now if we check the file, we can see it's fuzzy. This is a fantastic feature that allows you to immediately export your work as you go along. To see its power, I'll enable a layer style for this group. Don't worry about the specifics, what's important is we change how this card looks. Okay, pretty dramatic. Instead of exporting again through our hotkeys, we immediately get the updated design, and that's without touching a single key. Great stuff. Finally, I'll do a big combo for this group. Here's what I'll rename it to. 30 by 30 back A.png, 60 by 60 back B.png, 200% back C.png, 300% back D.png, back E.jpg2. In total, I should end up with 5 different files in my folder. Let's see if that happens. Yes, here they are. First, the very tiny 30 by 30 pixel file. Next is the 60 by 60 pixels image. Then 200 and 300%. Finally, the last one was saved at 20% quality, so it's really pixelated. And in case you mess up anything, this errors.txt file will help you out. And that concludes our 5 ways of exporting your work. Please see the attached image in case you want the short version. Have fun!